John, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of lines that my lizard brain saw and said, what is this? But then when I looked at it and thought about the way the teams were playing this season, I was like, okay, this all makes sense. And I'm talking, of course, about Vanderbilt being favored against LSU at home and about Duke being favored against Georgia Tech in a game that might wind up deciding who plays in the ACC championship game. So let's start with the LSU-Vandy game, John. What have you guys been seeing on this game? The line has held fairly steady since it opened this week. So what's the action look like on this?
Yeah, you're right. Vandy favored against LSU. How often does that happen? And not very, really. So Vandy opened 1.5. They're up to 2.5-point favorites. First time Vandy's been favored against a ranked opponent since at least 2005. So a new spot here for this program. In the Diego Pavia era, they're 13-6 against the spread, but only 3-3 against the spread as favorites. So when they're getting points, they've been really good at covering as favorites. It's a coin flip, and right now we're seeing about 60% of money on LSU as a small underdog.
How many people do you think just take LSU because their brains can't comprehend it?
They're the higher ranked team. They're a brand name. They've proven in the past, right? They've had success. So, I think there's a lot of casual fans out there that are like, "There's no way LSU, getting points. That has to be the right side."
So let's head to the one in the ACC, which is maybe even more intriguing because of the potential college football playoff implications of it. Duke, I think after they lost to Tulane, people kind of bailed on Duke. They've played really well the last few weeks, and they are the toughest remaining opponent on Georgia Tech's schedule. So tough, in fact, that the line makers installed Duke as a favorite, and they have remained a favorite all week.
Yeah, 1.5 points, no movement, really seeing balanced action on this game. I try to look up some interesting stats for you guys on like how often unranked team favored against a ranked opponent, if there's anything there. It's all boils out to about basically 50% against the spread. Maybe the most interesting insight here is just Brick Key, right? Georgia Tech. Big splits here as favorites and underdogs. When they're laying points, they're 5-9-1 against the spread. When they're getting points as dogs, they're 16-6 against the spread. So pretty clear splits there in terms of how they perform. But the line's only 1.5 points. Not a lot as dogs there.
Yeah, but you got to love that little nugget there. John, you always have the fun numbers and trends. What's something else that you have circled this week?
Yeah, let's talk Georgia, Ole Miss, number 9 versus number 5. Georgia open 9.5 points. It's come down to a touchdown here, and we're seeing action on the Rebels there. But something that's interesting here, in top 10 matchups, the team getting plus 50% of bets, just 106, 148. That's a 42% cover rate since 2005. So is this a fade the public spot? Do you go against the number, go against Ole Miss?
We say the public's on Ole Miss in this one, is what you're saying?
Yep.
Oh,
Public's
interesting.
on Ole Miss, and the cover rate is about 42% against the spread, but the line has come down. So they're public and sharps taking that number, and that's based on closing numbers. So some of that is, did you get the 9? Did you get the 7.5? Or where?
This strikes me as a game that might move a little bit at the end.
Saturday morning, you think?
Yeah.
Some action one way or the other.
I mean, I understand why it's a public play. A top 5 team in the country is getting 6.5 points against a team that I think it's pretty fair to be skeptical of. I mean, like our entire Monday show is the public play-a-thon. So, I don't know. I like Ole Miss, but it's scary to hear that.
Well, and Lane's record on the road against this type of team is actually pretty bad. So that's the other piece of this is we've never seen Ole Miss win a game like this under Lane. And so it makes sense that the line is dropped, that the public is on Ole Miss, but history isn't on their side right now. They've got to do something they've never done before.
Yeah,
to
history
make this
even
work.
that goes back 7 days. Like, what do you take away from struggling with Washington State? Maybe nothing, but that's also
Yeah,
something that has
I
to
don't
really
take
factor
anything
in.
out of that because I think I think Lane's not great with open dates. Like the open date killed him last year before Florida after they beat Georgia. This is not one of those situations. This is you survived. Now you're going to play this game. But yeah, John, I'm excited to see this one. And grab yourself a Modelo. Stay game day ready all season long. I will say this because I've patrolled a lot of message boards this week. The Michigan fans are in a very secure, calm, stable place right now. When after the game last week, I didn't expect them to be. But compared to some of these other message boards I've been looking at, they're in a good place. So grab yourselves a Modelo, celebrate being calm and rational. As long as you may not be in 2 days, but celebrate being calm and rational this week. It is time for Modelo. Every time there's a kickoff, every time there's a timeout, every time there's a halftime, it's Modelo time. Grab yourself a Modelo. Stay game day ready all season long. Ari, you mentioned another game before we started recording in the SEC. Tennessee heading down to Alabama. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, another popular underdog here, nearly 70%, and bets are on the Vols. The line has come down from Bama, 10.5 to 8.5. But this is a spot where Tennessee has struggled, especially in the Josh Heupel era. Tennessee just 5-9 against the spread as underdogs against top 25 teams, including just 1-6 as underdogs, as road dogs, excuse me.
Yeah. So the public thing always freaks me out because like I don't even know, like, is there data that shows that the public is wrong more often than right over the course of, the last 5, 10, 20 years or over time?
Like in certain situations, like we just mentioned, of popular underdogs in these big matchups have historically failed to cover.
Yeah, but just I want to ask you, because you know how to do this and I don't. If I just spread, or I just picked the or faded the public in the 10 games, biggest games every week, would I be a winning bettor?
I don't think you can blindly follow any one trend or strategy, right? My advice to anyone betting is to use as much information as possible. Get insights from you guys, have a model or a power rating, look at historical trends, and then use your own eye, right? You watch the games. What can you apply to it? And if everything points in the same direction for you, then that's what I like to play.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the public, USC-Notre Dame feels like a public game. Notre Dame is like team public. This line has moved toward Notre Dame, I believe, because I think it opened 8.5. Now it's 9.5, or it was, as of this morning, it was 9.5. I'm kind of piggybacking off Ari's question here, like, because I don't know what to think when it's Notre Dame. I think, with other teams, I'm like, oh, is this sharp money coming in? Or with Notre Dame, I'm assuming it's public money. So I don't know if I want to discount that there's a lot of public money coming in and don't worry about the line move, or is it something I should consider?
What's interesting too is we're talking right now on Thursday. So much action is going to be placed in the next couple of days, especially on Saturday leading up to kickoff. You could see up to 80% of total bets being placed on the games just on Saturday morning. Before. So right now we're seeing 70% of bets and money on USC taking the points against Notre Dame.
Wow. Okay.
And this is essentially an elimination game for the Irish, if you guys agree. I mean, they don't have anybody left on the schedule. If they lose this game, I don't know what they hang their hat on and trying to get into the playoffs. So this is a huge game for them, big game for USC, obviously, as well. And then I was looking in the data. In the Marcus Freeman era, Notre Dame has been awesome in this spot against top 25 teams, 15-5-1 against the spread. And that's not just like because they're getting a lot of points as dogs. They're favorites. They were 10-3 against the spread as well. So Irish have done well by bettors in these big games.
John, you might not have this information in front of you, but I'm curious how many of those games in that record you just illustrated were multi-score point laying situations.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Because like I wonder like because like most of the time that Notre Dame's in this spot, they're like laying 3, 4, 5 points, when they're favorites. This just seems like a pretty big spread. And Andy and I are struggling with this one because it's like we're trying to figure out how much do we trust what we saw against a Michigan tough team against USC in terms of like, does that mean that they're a different team that's more able to hang with tough teams, or if Notre Dame is just a terrible matchup for them? Like I picked USC on Monday's show, but I am terrified of that. Terrified of it.
I will. I'll look that up right now as you guys chat.
Wow, you're quick. Okay,
and yeah. Well, this is Ari. We talked about this. I like the total in this game. I like the number in the low 60s going over, and that's why I struggle so much with the spread, because even though it's more than a touchdown, the back door is open constantly in a shootout. And so it's 61.5. I think it's going over that. I think it's going to look similar to Notre Dame, Texas A&M, which was a 41-40 game. And I just, the problem with that is you'll get teams that are trying hard to come back from a deficit. They throw a pick six at the end. All of a sudden somebody covers. So that's where I have an issue with this giant spread. It's not really Notre Dame being predicted to win by a lot. I just think both teams are going to score a lot of points. And
do you remember last year's game off the top of your head? Do you remember?
It was a lot of it was 3 pick sixes, right?
I believe there were pick sixes in this. Yes.
Yeah.
The final score was 49-35, and there was 2 100-yard or 99-yard pick sixes. So that obviously impacts the score. But Jaden Mayava threw for 360 yards last year, and that was
so
it
could be the same game, and that Notre Dame covers.
Yeah.
I looked it up here, fellas. So actually, it was 15-5-1 against the spread against ranked opponents. 3 times they were favorites of a touchdown or more. They covered each game.
Wow.
Okay. Interesting.
That's insightful. Yeah.
All of those were last
I'm on
season.
Notre Dame here, right, Ari? And you're on
all
USC.
of them were last season too. Yeah. And like it could be a highly competitive game, like you just illustrated, Andy, and USC could easily win by 10. Notre Dame could easily beat USC by 10.
Right.
So, 8.5 seems like a lot, but in the flow of a game, how quickly that can be covered. So, yeah, that's really insightful, John. Thank you for looking that up.
John, every time we learn something, and I hope the folks are learning something here, because the fact that they've done that the last 3 times, that it was last season, like that's pretty interesting, because this is a pretty similar team, I would argue, with a more explosive passing game. And then USC is probably a better version of the USC team that Notre Dame beat last season. So this is going to be a fun one. John, thank you so much. And I can't wait to see what you bring us next.
Thanks, fellas. Great being on with you.
Appreciate you.